So I've seen an uptick on Reddit of new Daggerheart GMs complaining about not enjoying the collaborative side of Daggerheart. Or certainly they don't understand how to do it effectively. This is where they ask their players questions, incorporate the answers, and they let the players help build out the world and the story, which in other TTRPGs is normally just the purview of the GM. And the goal of this is kind of threefold. The first is to take some weight off the GM so they can kind of outsource some of that work. The second is that players get more creative freedom, and some will love that. They end up caring about the world more because it's as much their world as the GMs, as the other players, and it also just encourages them to take a little bit more narrative initiative in the future. They'll probably roleplay more, they'll probably push the story more because they're being encouraged by the system itself. And the third thing, which I think is very important, is it makes the game more unpredictable for everyone at the table because you don't know what cues or prompts the players are going to throw in, and the story and the world and narrative could, go off on random directions on the whim of someone's fun idea. So everyone is truly playing to find out what happens, which as a GM, I love because it means that I get to sit back and feel like I'm watching the show with the players a little bit more. Oh, and it also just instills more trust between the GM and the players, which is huge. And the thing I've seen most people take issue with here is either they don't trust their players enough with the story and the narrative, so they just don't want to give them any power because they think they'll use it for selfish reasons. Or when they hand over the power to the players just don't know what to do with it and they shut down and they get analysis paralysis and they just get uncomfortable. They don't want to be making those kind of decisions. And the real answer for all of this is that you don't have to do this in Daggerheart. It is kind of in the core rulebook and it's heavily encouraged, and I think people should at least attempt some level of it. But at the end of the day, also in the core rulebook, if you take what works for your table and leave what doesn't, it's fine if you don't want to do this kind of collaborative world building within Daggerheart. The best piece of advice I've seen, that I also got from Reddit about it, is that you kind of have to meet your players where they're at. So if they're not comfortable doing a lot of this stuff, even if you really want them to, you've got to meet them where they're at first, maybe with very small things. Over time, they could get more comfortable and you could, hand over more of the narrative reins. But if a player's not comfortable, coming up with a full NPC on the fly or telling you what the inside of a tavern looks like, you can just ask them, what hat is the NPC wearing? Or what kind of vibe is the tavern? What's the music that's playing? There's a lot of different levels, and if you just find the right one that matches the comfort level of your players, that's a good place to start. Don't force stuff on them that they don't want to do, and don't not do any of it because you don't trust them. As far as I like to do it, here's some clips from my last stream where I break it all down. Also, go follow me on Twitch. I'm live right now, probably. So come say hi, let's chat Daggerheart and TTRPGs, link down in the description. Okay, I think we should calibrate the size of the ball we throw at the players. Some are okay with what is the town you just entered look like, others need more help, like what in the outfit of the guard tells you they're actually an escaped prisoner in disguise. Yeah. I don't actually there's examples in the core rulebook of stuff like that, like asking questions, very specific things, and leading the answers there. I don't do that. When I'm collaborating with players, it sounds more like okay, you break into this room. What would you like to find in there? What do you think would be good? Narratively, what do you guys think would happen next? And it's not me specifically asking a question I'm going to incorporate. It's more like I'm opening up the room to brainstorm. And that means that if I say, oh man, so you guys get to the top of this tower and there's a locked door and you get into the room, what do you guys think would be in this room? And I kind of ask the table, or if it's an individual, I ask the person, and they might be like, oh man, I don't know, I guess it's a wizard's tower, so there'd be potions, right? And I'd be like, yeah, let's do potions. And then they might be like, and what about a three-headed hydra dog is chained up there? And in my mind, I'm like, I don't really want to do that because that's going to lead to some weird combat and we've only got 5 minutes left of this session. So I'll just say, nah, maybe. But what I think actually is, maybe they've got some pet lizards or something. And you just take what you need from that and you incorporate it, and then you try your hardest to make them feel seen, and then you just go with the flow. A good example where I think is fine if I was at table with someone else and someone else was GMing and they said to me oh, you go into the tavern and there is a bard playing on stage, and Phil, your character knows this bard. This bard is angry at you. What did you do to the bard? Why is the bard angry at you? I would eat that up. I'd like that as a player because I'm fine with that, but I wouldn't necessarily do that as a GM because it's so specific and changes their own character so much. Because if in their head they're like, they wouldn't have done anything, you know? In fact, I tried to incorporate that in my actual play. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's up on this channel, or if you remember it, but I started off the whole session in combat. It was a bar fight. Like, the session starts and I get my players to all roll just a d12, and the person who got the lowest number starts the fight. And it was my wife who got the lowest number, and I asked her, I was like, okay, you are in the tavern, there is a fist coming at you, a big burly sailor is trying to punch you. Could you tell me how you started this fight, either accidentally or on purpose? I said that because I wanted to leave the room for it to be an accident. And I can't remember what she said now. It's something like, I didn't realize, but I was reading my books because I'm very studious, and I just accidentally knocked a drink over them and they got annoyed. And I didn't even realize, so now they're fighting me. And I was like, perfect, let's go with that. And I think those kind of phrases are always really useful. Like, how do you do this either on purpose or by accident? Or how do you think this could have happened? You leave it very open. I also have a habit of saying, could you tell me if you can think of anything, how this thing works or how this happened? But if you can't think of anything, it's fine. I can fill in the blanks. That's a really good way of doing it as well. Just be like, here's the ball, but if you don't want it, just give it back to me. I can handle it. Like, what is the name of this NPC? If you can think of anything, but if you can't, I have one. I have one lined up, but I'd rather hear from you. Oh, you can't think of one? Or you just want to call them Bob? Okay, they're called Gladinor. But I think that's the beauty of it. We're going to find that there are going to be so many Daggerheart styles that come up and like bloom, and there'll be very popular styles that stick around, and there'll be styles that don't really stick around, and there'll be ideas within the core rulebook now that people don't really use or think about, and there'll be other ways of doing it that aren't core rulebook, like homebrew almost, GM styles, that will become very popular. And that's just, I'm very excited to see all the different types, honestly. What started the fight in the bar? Yeah, oh, yes. Yeah, she just said her character was reading, studying, which is what the character did, and spilled a drink over, didn't realise, and that started the fight. So that was the time where I just asked a player straight up a question, and then, you know what has surprised me? When I have done that, when I have put a lot of pressure on the players, they've almost always come through. And that's not in a way that I'm like, oh, I'm surprised. But I think there is, certainly when Daggerheart first came out, there was this fear that players don't want to help world build and don't want to be put on the spot. And even from the players themselves, they're like, I'm not creative enough. I don't think I'll be able to come up with something. But every time I've done it, they've come up with something fantastic. And I just think we should all have a lot more faith in ourselves and our other players and the people in the community, because we're all hella creative and we're all amazing. Like, genuinely. Because that's what I keep seeing still. I keep seeing people being like, oh yeah, I don't trust my players. Like, I don't want to ask them what's in this chest because and I use that as an example. No one does that. That's not a thing in Daggerheart. No one's ever asking like, oh, there's a treasure chest, what's in it? I don't think that is really how the game is designed in any way, shape or form, but it's become like a famous example. Because I think Matthew Mercer kind of used as an example in Interview on the Spot. But yeah, players go into a room, there's a treasure chest there. What's in the treasure chest? And the idea is that the player will just say like, tons of gold for me, or a really super cool weapon. But actually, they're more likely to give you something, some ammunition. They're more likely to say like, oh, it's the severed finger of my brother who I'm looking for. They've got him. They're torturing him. You know, they're way more likely to like take it in a weird, fun direction, because they're not there to get gold. They're not there to get the best weapon. In theory, if you've gone through the motions of the Session Zero and you've made them understand the game, they're there to tell a good story. And by God, they'll do it. Also, Marcus, thank you for the subscription. Thank you. Oh, my cat wants to come in, but my cat can't come in.